Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about the writing of the Constitution. In class today we talked about after Shays' Rebellion, the Congress realized that the Articles of Confederation was way too weak. It was not a good plan for government because it didn't really allow Congress enough power to even stop a bunch of farmers from rebelling. So Congress, the representatives from all the 13 states, realized that they needed to make some type of change. So in this building, in this room, 55 representatives meet together from all the states. And they call this meeting the Philadelphia Convention or the Constitutional Convention. Now, what they're doing is they're discussing what to do with the Articles of Confederation. And after lots of discussion and some arguing, they finally decide they just need to throw it away and start all over. Now, with 55 representatives, you have to understand that there were a lot of different opinions from all the different representatives from all the different states. So some, were saying like, okay, we need to make a weak national government so it doesn't take away from the states' rights or people's rights. Some people said, no, we need a strong national government. We tried the weak government thing with the Articles of Confederation and it didn't work. Some people were like, okay, big states should be the leaders of our country. Some other people were like, no, small states should have a fair shot and they should be treated fairly. Well, with all the opinions in the room, there was quite a bit of arguing going on. The biggest argument that the founding fathers, the 55 representatives from all the states, had when trying to decide what the new government, the new plan of government should look like was, how many representatives does each state get? Because remember, with more representatives equals more votes. And the more votes a state has, that means the more power the state has. So if your state had more representatives than another state, then you could vote for taxes and laws that would really help out your state but might hurt somebody else's state that doesn't have as many representatives. So more representatives means more power. So two plans were proposed. You have the New Jersey plan. The New Jersey is a pretty small state. They proposed creating 3 branches of government, and they believe that representation should be equal in all the states no matter what size it is. Obviously, this plan is good for small states because it treats every state the same no matter if you're a big state with lots of people or a small state with not very many people. The second plan that was proposed was the Virginia plan. Now, Virginia is a large state, but they also proposed creating 3 branches of government. Where they're different is that they thought the number of representatives each state should get should be based on the number of people that are in that state, also known as the state's population. So what they're thinking is if you have a really big state with lots and lots of people, you should have more representatives. Obviously, this plan is good for large states. There was tons and tons of arguing about what to do until they finally came up with a compromise. This compromise that they came up with mixed the New Jersey plan and the Virginia plan together, and the name for this new plan was the Great Compromise. Now, in this new plan, the Great Compromise, they decided that 3 branches would be created: the legislative, executive, and judicial branches, and these branches would work together to run the national government and the country. And the Constitution would be like their job description. So each branch would have specific jobs that they could do, and they would also have specific things that they cannot do. So think of the Constitution as a job description for the government and for each branch of the government. So all 3 of these branches are working together to make sure that our country runs smoothly. Now, to solve that big argument over how many representatives each state should get, the Great Compromise uses both the New Jersey plan ideas and the Virginia plan ideas, and they mix those ideas together. So in the Great Compromise, Congress, our representatives, and the legislative branch is split into 2 separate groups. They're both considered Congress, but they're in 2 different groups. One group is the Senate, and the other group is the House of Representatives. Now again, they're both Congress, but Congress is split into two groups. So here's how they figured out how many representatives each state should get. In the Senate, each state gets 2 senators. So this is the New Jersey plan, because it doesn't matter how big your state is, each state gets 2 representatives, just like here on the map. Now, in the House of Representatives, the number of representatives that each state gets is based on the state's population. So if you have more people in your state, you're going to get more representatives in the House of Representatives. So like on this map, you can see Texas has 32 representatives today. So in the year 2015, Texas has 32 representatives in the House of Representatives. And this is because there's lots of people living inside Texas. So in the Senate, you have an equal number of representatives, 2 for each state. And in the House of Representatives, you have the number of representatives is based on how many people are in your state. Both of these, the Senate and the House of Representatives, are both part of Congress. So in the end, everybody wins. The end.